Well, today we're going to talk about coils. These particular coils have an enamel coating on them that insulate them. If it wasn't there, this wouldn't be a coil of wire. It would just be a bunch of copper cording together from where it touches. So essentially, it's just a painted hunk of wire for the insulation instead of plastic or rubber coating. They make an enamel coating like this so you can wind these coils up real tight. This black thing that goes down the center, that's called an iron slug. It's powdered iron, and that changes the characteristics of the inductance value of the coil. We'll talk more about coils in later lessons, but this is what they look like. This big guy happens to be an ignition coil. It's a transformer, actually. The high voltage ends up coming out here relative to ground. And these two terminals is where your ignition system hooks up to start and stop putting electricity to this. When you stop putting electricity to it momentarily, you get a nice high voltage out here, about 20,000 volts or so. Not much current, but a lot of voltage. Nice big spark. This has got a coil in it. That little orangish brown thing down here is has got a coil of wire wound around it. When you put electricity to this particular coil, well, this coil is surrounding a magnet, and when you put electricity through here, the magnetic field changes and it pushes against this magnet here, and the needle will move. And we're going to see uh, an example of a moving meter in later lessons. This is a power transformer. Let's see if we can identify what's going on here. Oh, I'm going to guess that this is an input, that is an input, and you get these different voltages out of it. I'd have to look at the data sheet, but they're marked, and you can get different voltages out of it by what you put in, and these are marked uh, differently. Okay, there's a flat coil. This particular coil may or may not have an iron slug inside it. This particular kind of coil isn't used for power. It's used in radio circuits, most likely low frequency, something below 30 megahertz or so for shortwave radio and so forth. This is a transformer. Doesn't do a whole lot of voltage, but does quite a bit of current, probably taken out of a switching power supply. This little guy has many turns. Is another kind of transformer. It could have a core of powdered iron in it. It looks like it's not got one in there. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think there is a powdered iron core in there. All right, on to the next one. This is definitely a power transformer of some sort. It mounts onto a circuit card because of the way these leads are configured. Here's another coil. Sometimes you find those in lower frequency radios. This one looks like it might be from a switching power supply. Here's a flat coil. Gets mounted somewhere. I don't know what the size of this is. They could slip a core of powdered iron in there. Who knows? And these are speakers. Moving coil speakers is what they're called. It's almost like the moving meter. when you put electricity, let's get a close-up of this. These two wires here go down into the, the voice coil that's wound around inside here. This is the magnet for the speaker. And these terminals here are connected to this terminal and this terminal here. The reason they did that is because when you solder wires to this, you could actually disconnect these. So they soldered a wire to it, ran a wire over here, pinched it down through that hole, and now you can solder to these all you want and you won't disturb these the coil connections here. And that will do it for coils for today.